Hey, welcome to day 2 of Virtcon 2023. Today we are joined by Rocco's Tacos. Welcome.
Hey there, how's it going?
Welcome back. And
It's a
with
pleasure to
our
be
special
here.
guest, El Quintero.
It's
Welcome
been a
back.
while, everybody. Thank you for having me back.
So, let's kick things off. You were just showing me a arcade cabinet, and let's just get right to it. That thing looks sweet.
All right.
Let's show the world what you
Booting
have
up
created.
now. It's been a while since I booted up, so I don't know if it will boot
It's
up.
all right. We'll do it
that's-
live.
Yeah. So
Dang.
it's a Raspberry Pi 4 build that runs off a portable battery, speakers in the front, typical game controller set up on the top. This top pops off, so that's the inside of it. I don't know if the light can pick it up, but yeah. See, there's a Raspberry Pi 4, some cheap ass speakers I bought at the dollar store that I wired into. And
Sure helps keep that retro feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need much for that 8-bit audio.
No, I don't need full audio. Case is just hardware stored, bought. What's the word? Plywood, yeah. And then just some reinforcements. The biggest.
What about the stickers? Is that a veneer?
So
or how'd you do that?
Yeah, so I stickered it first, and then I applied a thin coat of veneer on top of that, so it's laminated. So it
nice.
gives that printed feel, but it's actually just instead of coloring the whole thing, like the bottom is not colored, but basically what I did is end up, because I had like a box full of stickers on, and I just added them all off, and then I just coated with the.
So they're each like individual stickers that have just been like shellacked over?
Yeah, I have like well, no. So I stickered the whole thing first, and then I shellacked over it.
Very cool. Yeah, it's got that nice like sheer on it.
Yeah.
The last time I tried to do that, the stickers all peeled off on the edges.
Yeah. It does take a bit of. I mean, it does show some fray, but because they're so layered on top of each other, it comes off as one sheet. So it gives that beat up arcade feel to it.
I remember this one time I sticker bombed the interior of my whole car, all the side panels of the doors across the whole thing. It lasted about a month, but it looked great while it lasted.
Yeah, no, I mean, it'll work. I mean, and then the top, that's just some neon acrylic that I cut, and then some rails that I bought. Oh, see, it does.
Is that like laser etched?
No, this is vinyl cut. So mirror vinyl cut it, and then it's stickered from the back. This comes off.
Gotcha.
It's just sitting there in the rail. So that's on top of the wood, and then this just is and then some strip of neon pixels on the bottom. But
that's very cool.
So the problem I was having is I wanted an arcade machine, but they're too big for whatever workshop I have here, and I wanted something that I can put on the table, and I can put it away if I don't need it. So I end up and then I have an emulator running, Super Nintendo emulator running for it. So.
Nice. I was just gonna ask what it plays.
R-Type, Super R-Type, Super Street Fighter, X-Men Street Fighter. So
I mean, you got a Pi 4 in there. You could probably go up to what, PS3 without too much trouble.
Yeah.
Do you have any hookup there, like if you want to use other controllers with it or video output?
So all of it comes on top of all the ports there's cables running here. I haven't added any ports to it because I didn't need any. But I mean the Pi itself is just sitting there, so I can easily access it.
Hey, we got Player 2 with us. Welcome on. We were just checking out his arcade cabinet that he built.
Hey, it's El Cantaro.
Hey, what's up, man?
What up?
So, yeah, I mean, it works. And the whole thing was I wonder if any of the games like I said, I wanted something small enough that I could, if I wanted to take to conferences here in Japan, just for fun, to have people play around with it.
I mean, it's basically a cyber deck in a kind of cooler looking case.
Yep.
It's
a hell of a way to make friends too. If you're at like a conference or something, good way to meet people.
And
break the ice. Hey, play on my arcade machine, right?
I wanted the old school mechanical joystick controller, right?
Is it just the 4-directional, not the 8-directional?
This one is an 8-directional, but it's the mechanical one. So
nice.
See that? That's on the bottom one. So that's the controller. The challenge, not much of a challenge, but finding an actual decent controller board. You can buy them off real cheap off AliExpress or Amazon these days. But there's a bunch of them because people make a lot of tabletop arcades. But so Galaga, right?
Is the way to go.
Nice.
But I wanted something that was
Galaga's a blast.
That was small enough that it could sit somewhere in my cave, and if I wanted to play, I could play it, and it didn't have to take up the whole room and turn into some other clothes hanging rack or something, So, but yeah,
Helix, who one of our mods who might join us, he actually has been building a full-size arcade cabinet. He's basically turned it into his do everything catch-all computer. That's pretty much his cyber deck. It's just like everything, a full tower in it and a bunch of screens, adding some more little LCDs and stuff. It's pretty cool.
The one thing I wish I'd done that I haven't done is I wish I had, or I guess I thought about making the screen a vertical screen. Because like the games I play the most are either Street Fighter or Galaga. And Galaga vertical is much better than, So.
But Street Fighter is not, though.
No, that's true. So
but Street Fighter in 4x3 isn't bad,
Yeah,
it's
like the original resolution, or
either that or I have to make a way to be able to switch to the screen orientation, which
get some stepper motors in there.
That would be kind of cool if you just pressed a button and it automatically turned. Or what if you just make it vertical, but then have a shade that comes down that changes it so it looks it's not. So it just
really,
changes the
really little detail, but hard to tell. Is actually this frame is 3D printed by me to give it that curve, because all the IPS screens have straight edges. So I wanted that curve on the corner of an old arcade monitor.
Nice.
That's dope.
It does give it that CRT look.
Right. I ended up cutting a bigger hole than the screen and then just added this frame on top of it to give it that beveled, rounded look on the corner.
That's epic. Like, even though the screen is flat, it still kind of feels like just from these rounded corners. It just feels like it's not as flat as it is.
Yeah, that's.
I've been
actually playing it a lot.
I've been ignoring the chat here. Sorry, I just noticed we got people in the chat.
Oh, right.
Were there any questions? No question. Oh, what is the thickness of the plywood that you used?
Oh, this is real cheap store bought. Whatever not the thinnest, but
probably
the second, so like 5 millimeters.
Yeah, 1/4 inch.
Yeah. It's basically. I didn't want.
What's the weight like?
Super light, but it's reinforced in its corners so that the plywood can be thin, but I added corner supports so that the weight bearing and the structural strength is maintained by these little blocks of wood.
Here's a good question. Is the joystick USB or hooked up through the pin headers on the Pi?
They are. They are. Let me see. How did I? So they're USB, but they go. Yeah, there's a USB joystick controller board that I'm using. So
nice.
Yeah, like I said, that's the controller board.
It looks very authentic. Lots of wires.
Yeah, there's a lot of wire there. I mean, it also, the good thing about plywood, it does give that wood smell. When you open up an old arcade, you have that electronics with wood burn smell.
Yeah. When they open up the coin slot to fix it, and you get that get that little ozone and the wood in it.
Here's the audio, the crappy speaker audio, which is perfect.
It sounds great.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, it works, right? So.
Now, what's your highest score on Galaga?
I don't know. It's the default. I probably reset it a couple days ago. Couple months.
There's this arcade convention called Virtcon that takes place in Arizona. They bring out something like 1,500 arcade cabinets and pinball machines.
Yeah.
And you just, I don't know, you pay like $20 to get in, and then you just go nuts.
Oh yeah, the one trick
that it's fantastic
with the builders is you can't program the GPIO pins to be a start and on and off button for your RPi. So shutdown is easy, right? You do a GPIO pin script running, whatnot, but you can also make it start off of a GPIO pin. It's just a setting in the overlay. You just give it an overlay power switch configuration. So that you don't have to open it up, plug it in, or have a switch on the external. That little push button right here will start it and stop it.
Right. Well, that's like on the Pi 400. That's when they introduced the power button on the keyboard.
Yeah, but that's the same. It's the same thing. It's just that as long as there's see that push just booted it up. So it's just a configuration overlay. So,
now, does it actually leave it in a low power state then?
No, it shuts it down.
Interesting.
So. That's pretty cool. In Budapest, I've been in Budapest, I think 3 years ago, and they had a pinball flipper museum, which was pretty neat as well. Like you paid, I think, $6 or $7, and you could play almost all the arcade machines, and they had mostly flipper machines, obviously. But yeah, they even had some going back to the 40s or 50s, which is pretty impressive. And I think some of those were not playable, but some still were, which was pretty impressive.
I mean, just to see them too.
I'll be back in just a second.
Yeah, just to see them was impressive.
My friend had a restored 1950s old mechanical pinball, and I love that pinball so much, but that thing would break down so easily. And then I had an old 1970s pachinko machine in my workshop.
What's pachinko?
Pachinko is like the Japanese version of pinballs or slot machines. They're gambling devices, but basically
wall that comes like down. It's like straight down.
The ball, you shoot the ball up and it comes down and it hits a point, and then you win points for it. The more points you win, the more balls you get. The more balls you can change them for money.
Okay.
But those things are loud when you don't realize it. It's like having a slot machine at home. They're like in Vegas, it doesn't bother you, but the moment you just put it in your house, it's like this thing is loud. So.
I mean, in Vegas, it's like you're surrounded by like this shit ton of those, and all of them make the sound. So it's just a sound wall of bloops and bloops.
There's definitely a learning curve there. Is like because I like pachinko playing, and I was like, well, maybe I should have one. And then I put one in my house, and the thing is loud as hell. I haven't played it, so I just got rid of it a couple of years back. But it's the same with the slot machines, and I mean, you see on eBay and stuff, you think about, oh, that's a good idea, and you get it, and these things are loud.
Yeah, and, we have one in our local makerspace, and it's a regular flipper machine pinball. It's Williams, the one by Williams, Twilight Zone, I think.
Ooh, nice.
This way,
and yeah, this
brought
one
on to show you
makes
guys.
a lot of noise.
This little guy here,
old school tech.
Which GPI case?
This is the second one. I had the first one as well, but this one's got a CM4 module in it. Shoulder buttons
that's the
too.
Thing why
back
I
here.
can't afford the second one.
Little shoulder buttons. I need to get this thing set up better though. Like, it works, but I don't have my like collection that has all the games on it. I just have a couple titles. And it comes with this little
5.4 version of that.
Yeah, and they've got the little dock for it too. This thing's kind of goofy though. Like, basically, you have to be plugged into it. You turn it on, and it detects that it's plugged into it over the USB port, and then it actually replaces the file in the config.h. It swaps it between two of them. One that changes output to here or the display. I mean, it works, but it's flaky. You gotta reboot a couple times sometimes.
Yeah, the coolest thing I've seen, there's actually now a mod kit for the old actual Game Boy. The old Game Boy gaming device.
Really?
The actual original.
That comes with a chip that is far more powerful than the original chip that you have to desolder and solder on. But not only that, it changes the screen to an IPS screen. And I've seen YouTube clips on that, and the thing is gorgeous.
Interesting. I have a DMG case, the one that looks like this.
Yeah.
I bought a new old stock case. It's just flawless, and it came with a new glass and all the like metal clips and buttons and stuff as reproductions, but it's an original case. And I bought that to basically make one of these, and then eventually just ended up with this thing. But then I've got my my matching mouse for this, which even has a D-pad on the side of it. Yeah. Which it's goofy, but it actually works. I've played games before with the D-pad and the buttons on here.
It's not that bad.
It's weird.
Wheel is the only thing that's kind of janky because it's a touchpad. But
and
I think
I've got
are solid.
My Game Boy keycap set. It's like all Nintendo games. Basically, the idea was to do the the Game Boy.
The whole motif going.
The Game Boy deck.
Now the Game Boy keyboard. You remember the Business Boy, the unreleased keyboard that they made but never sold to anybody? I think it was called the Business Boy. It was like a word processor, had a little mini keyboard, a Game Boy.
I remember what you're talking about. I forget. It might have been the Business Boy, but that thing was a buck wild concept for a thing for kids to get their keyboard.
No, it was like meant to be like a business tool, like for. Oh wait, we lost.
And I know it's supposed to be a business tool, but
there you go.
How many businessmen had the Game Boy versus would use the keyboard?
Right. I mean, that was the idea. It was like, all right, here's a computer that could do word processing and write emails and then upload them later for a very low price compared to the next cheapest computer available.
Well, I mean,
the concept was cool.
The background of that is that at that time there was a lot of pre-PDA devices that were coming out that were basically word processing terminals, right? Or
they didn't really do a lot.
Well, I mean, the Nintendo Family Computer, the first one, right, had a keyboard option. So did some of the older gaming, Dreamcast, and some of the other ones too, right? So, and you have to understand, word processing in Japan was huge, right? It's like typing, but because of the language, it allowed so many people to actually write better than previously. So word processing was a killer app for any digital platform, and that's why they thought about coming out with the keyboard, right?
I guess that makes sense, just thinking from a foreign market point of view. I was thinking just like the typical market of the person that would own a Game Boy and the people that would need to do word processing. That's a kind of slim Venn diagram, but putting it that way, that does make a lot more sense.
Right. So, I mean, it was like a way of I guess younger adults, not kids, to justify to having their own game device. Well, it's not just gaming device. I can type on this too.
It's like the Game & Watch.
You're trying to
games, but I can look at the time.
Trying to convince your wife, yes, I need this Game Boy for work.
It's the same. I mean, it's the same reason why many of us had PDA. I mean, you think about it, like every PDA had an external keyboard to it, right? I mean, the BlackBerry's killer app was that physical keyboard. And we've been 20 years since, and Unihertz still came out with the Titan with a physical keyboard.
You know what's crazy with this emulator? There are consoles on here I've never even heard of. I have no idea what they are. Like, I've got to go hunt down games just to try out.
The Wonders one might be one.
The SG-1000 by Sega.
That was nice.
The Wonders one is a beautiful device, which I unfortunately do not own.
The Pokemon Mini? No idea.
Yeah,
I've never heard of this one.
It's those were like Tamagotchi devices.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah.
Ooh, TurboGrafx, Auric. That's another. There's so many of these. Yeah, you're right. There were so many like miniature computer / video game devices at that time. The Lynx.
I mean, some of them are new, right? I mean, if you go on the Amazon and you look for retro handheld gaming emulator, there's like a ton of them now that are based off of the Rock chip or any of the other ARM based chips,
right?
And all of them, coming.
Oh yeah, I had one. The Abernac. It was the RG350M, I believe, or 350P, something like that. That was like an RK 3066 or something. Cool device though. Really, it could pretty much emulate anything flawlessly, and it was relatively cheap. Like, for anyone who can't source a Raspberry Pi CM4, just get one of those. They're good. It's a lot cheaper.
I also can highly recommend the PS Vita, especially the slim one.
Yeah.
If you don't like proprietary connectors, because that's the main reason why I got the Vita Slim.
Yeah.
I played through a lot of games for, I think, Super Nintendo and Game Boy Advance on it.
I mean, I have my Switch, but I don't play any retro games. And the retro games I play on the arcade emulator because, I mean, it's like, okay, I have access to the game, but it's not the same feeling, Like the gaming experience, and I think this is true partially to computers in general, and I think that's why a lot of us end up building cyberdecks, is that the physical human man interface is part of the story, right? Like the Game Boy form factor, I still think is a very great, is a great feeling to it, because not only the device itself and its functionality, but the physical feedback, nonverbal feedback of that form factor tells me a story that makes me remember my time, right?
Yep.
And because if you're purely for functionality, then building a cyberdeck or using an emulator is not the ideal situation. You should get a laptop and a gaming device, a modern day gaming device, right? But the reason why we build cyberdecks or use make arcade emulators is that part of the story that we're trying to read or experience is the actual physical human man interface, right?
Yeah, for me the PS Vita is like the advanced version of the Game Boy Advance, because the form factor is kind of the same. But same goes for the Steam Deck. I got my Steam Deck, I think, a couple months ago, in October. No, August. And it's essentially the same but bigger, and you can do more productive stuff with it. I've used Blender on it to create some animations.
I have friends who use it as an SDR device, so software defined radio hunting device, and it works great. SDR Angel runs on Steam Deck apparently, and it's super gorgeous hackery. Like we were at the ShmooCon, a hacker conference in DC in January, and one of our friends Armand had this Steam Deck, and it was running some Linux, or I think it was Ubuntu, and he had SDR Angel, the software installed on it, and you could actually like 3D, because it has a GPU in it, you can visualize the baud line, which is the frequency map waterfall in 3D, and you can turn it around. I'm like, that's the most Hollywood interface I've ever seen. It's not cool. Particularly useful, but it's very cool. I've
got SDRs, but it's always a flat waterfall. I've never seen that with. Interesting.
Was it that thing where they used Wi-Fi signal to determine humans in a room?
Yeah, but it's a similar concept, but the waterfall is for all kind of frequencies, right? So if you're looking for a specific frequency, you usually see just a peak, right, on a vertical screen. In the Steam Deck, or SDR Angel has the option, because the Steam Deck has a GPU, you can actually turn it on side, and you can see like a 3D peak.
I mean, that's super cool.
Not particularly useful, but very cool looking.
But I think it's like you were saying, it's that aesthetic, it's that kind of look. If we were all just going for like optimized efficiency, which I mean has its benefits, we would all have the exact same homogeneous looking thing. We'd all be plugged in the same way, and it's kind of a good way to express
yourself. That's what most of the people are with this.
Yeah, I mean, look at Apple or Samsung now. It's kind of,
what brand is this? Which phone is this? What device is it? Can you tell? No, it's identical to every single other one.
Samsung.
There's a funny thing. There's a maker in Japan that sold a black acrylic board cut to the exact same size as a smartphone, and that thing sold so many because it was the way of people to put their phone down but still hold something in the hand that felt like a phone.
Right. It's for the phantom pain when you don't have it in your pocket,
right,
and you think.
But you look at
you start looking for it.
I was talking to my kid about it, but he was like, "Dude, that Galaxy flip phone is so cool, but it's super useless." I'm like, "Yeah, but it has that old Game Boy feeling to it." I'm like, "Yeah, I know exactly what you want."
Game Boy Advance SP,
right?
About that, what was it? I think it was LG's last phone before they went under. The one that was two screens that flipped. And it basically made like a T shape.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing. dumbest design possible. For all the space it took up, you could have just had two screens and opened it like a bifold.
But that's not a new design. The future phones in Japan for a long time had that because they had broadcast TV reception on the phones. And this is pre-smartphone days. So if you flipped your phone this way, your keyboard will be sideways and you couldn't type. So you had to keep it upwards.
Exactly. And I've seen those. I've seen those. They were like the Kyocera. They had one. And, I think LG had one. Sony. That was like
Nokia still has a flip phone, dumb phone. It's also available all over the planet, I think.
But look at I don't know if you've seen it, but Joe Grant, I don't know if anybody knows Joe Grant, but Joe Grant is somebody you should definitely know. A hardware legend in its own. He created a boombox based on a Raspberry Pi, but it's this thin.
Oh, because it's made out of PCBs, right? I saw that.
But the front, yeah. So
Joe Grant is
an
job on it.
Joe Grant is an old friend of mine, and he's a crazy hacker tinkerer. He's known for his crypto wallet recovery, but he's a hardware hacker, true and true. And when he came out with that boombox, I was like, "Damn, Joe, you one up me again." It's like, a full boombox factor, but it's like,
well, and just the art that went into that, like, it's such a beautiful PCB design, and to think that you can basically order all of the pieces from like PCBWay and just have it, all these slivers that just stack on top of each other is so cool looking. Do you so you do know him? I was actually trying to get him on the stream. I dropped a message a while ago, but haven't followed up.
He's a really hard person to get a hold of, but he's also very quiet. So
is he?
Unlike some of
See, I
us,
don't know the guy at all. Just I saw that project and I was like, oh shit, that's cool. And then I started looking up some of his previous talks and stuff he's given.
But Joe's a very quiet man. He's also, I mean, we kept now, like, some of us know him for years, and then every time we were like, dude, if you just had, like, he should have been a YouTube star, but he isn't, because he just doesn't care enough about it. And also the fact that he did TV for a while. He worked with Discovery on some show with Zaz, another crazy robotics hacker. Both of them are very, like, Zaz is off grid. He doesn't carry a cell phone. He carries an iPod. So you can only reach him whenever he's in like a free Wi-Fi zone once in a while. Just like, and the guy's a robotics engineer, right? So he's just like, yeah, I just don't need that in my life. I'm like, all right, fair enough. But it's going back again, I mean, both of them, whenever they build something, they tell a story, right? So, and that's what I like about the the cyber deck community. You can look at everybody's deck and then you kind of feel for it, like, or at least when I build mine, it's just like I have a theme or a specific scenery that I see when I build it.
That's a pretty good segue to something I wanted to do tonight, which is something we do with pretty much every one of these streams, is let's have a scroll through the galleries and see the decks that everyone has built in the last year or so.
All right.
We've got, I think we've got basically 2 galleries to look at tonight. And there's been some really cool projects. I'll pull this thing up here. You can see all of the channels I'm in. You're welcome. Nothing overly fun besides, of course, the cafe.
So yeah, Nikki asked me, how do I pick my theme? It's usually like, I'm very easily influenced. So it's a movie I watch or something, like, I don't know if I think I still have the case for it. I think I think, yeah. So I was watching some dystopian sci-fi flick, and I wanted, like, I had to gut most of it, but I wanted to, like, create a portable streaming setup so that I could, like, I was imagining myself being the dude in some dystopian future, whatnot. So I ended up creating this little box. It's all weathered, so it started out with a yellow, and then I burned it, weathered. And then inside there's a little screen and a camera that pops up. There's a Latte Panda.
And that's 4. Like a portable streaming deck right there.
Yeah. So, and then the ports come out to the side. So that the idea that I had was,
Which Latte Panda did you say?
This is the old one. Whatever nice.
Because I used to got a Latte Panda Alpha sitting around, but I gave it to a friend to fix it because it's somewhat dead.
But I had to gut some of the parts of it. But the idea that I had was that, we're fighting zombies or robots or whatnot, and I'm just a sucker for this yellow industrial yellow box. So, and then I was like, I'm gonna weather it. So I beat it up. I had this box sitting under my desk for about a couple months so that it get nicely worn in, and then I just kind of weathered it in there. So
you just left it down by your feet for a while, kick it once in a while.
So it has these natural dings and scruffs and whatnot. And then I used
my Pelican case like that today as a step stool. We had a 5-gallon bucket, and then the Pelican case, and then the tallest guy in the group standing on top of that to reach my drone that was hanging by 2 Ethernet cables that were dangling from a roof, and it was just wrapped in this thing. It was pretty hilarious, really. But those cases are great for that. Like, you can literally step on them. You can, I don't recommend it, but you can actually drive over them without crushing them. So if you're like got your wheel stuck in a pothole or something, you can shove the case under the tire and use it to drive yourself out.
Yeah, also, I mean,
it's a good emergency case to have.
Also, buying used ones is a great way to get like an perfectly aged
and to not pay hundreds of dollars for them.
No,
Yep.
I mean they're fine, and then
Yeah,
I
I mean,
took a
they-
blow torch to it and kind of burned some of these in. And the weathering is Adam Savage. You know, he does a lot of weathering tricks. So you know, take your Dremel, router, whatnot, and just kind of scruff it up, and then lay an oil paint over it, and then wipe off the oil paint, and all the dirt just kind of sticks there. So
Yeah, I mean, you need to hit him with a tank to do any real damage to him. And I love that color yellow. It reminds me of the power lifter from Aliens. Every time I see that construction
Oh yeah,
yellow.
that one.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's often a story that I try to tell, and I'm easily influenced by whatever I'm watching or reading at that time, or you know, I'll be watching something and it's like, oh, I want one of that. I mean, that's always been my case, right? I wanted to make gadgets that look like they're out of a movie scene, yet they're functional in a way, right? Because movie props aren't. So
Yeah, they're just props.
yeah. Well, let's go back to the gallery.
Well, you know, speaking of like fantasy type stuff, like this one from Raw Marine, it's a cyberdeck sword. The whole body bit hinges around. This is the keyboard down here. The Pi's up in here. I think the battery and stuff too. I believe it used magnets to hold everything in place when it's open or closed.
I
really
thought
cool
when I first saw
design.
that, I thought it was out of Aliens, and I love that color. That color
Right?
is gorgeous.
Yeah,
and
almost
there's
this color.
I forgot about that. The old maker coin. If anyone wants that, we do have the STL for the 0 days maker coin. That was a pretty cool one. Let's see what else we got in here. Death by Coffee. I honestly don't remember what this one was going to do, other than maybe be like a talking robot on the desk.
Yeah,
Like
clear
just something to-
acrylic is often overlooked, but I've built setups with just clear acrylic. I mean,
Right.
it gives a nice, clean look to it, and acrylic is forgiving enough if you've treated right that you can get actually a pretty good look out of it.
These are the entries from 0 days, one of our previous conferences from, I believe, 2 years ago. And these were the contestant entries. The contest was to build very small, compact cyberdecks. You know, something more akin to a cell phone size, but not just another cell phone. This one, I believe, had some kind of a corded input. I don't really remember a lot of the details on these.
I love that toggle switch. Wow. Physical switches are my thing. I love physical switches.
Oh yeah, there's the same one displaying some logos and stuff. This one was from Cyber Buffalo. This is what actually won the competition.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And this thing's like, I'm holding my hand. You probably can't see me. It's tiny. I think it's like 6 inches across. Shit. So it's hard to see the scale of it, but that's only like a 2 or 3 inch display.
It looks a lot bigger.
Yeah, exactly. Like they really did a great job, and it was a rush job. Some stuff doesn't fit quite perfect. But that's how it is when you build these things. You just
everything that adds to it,
And they even made like a custom PCB for this, like hand wired the switches. Cut physical, through hole board into the shape and hand wired it. It was a great piece. I haven't actually seen that guy around in the group for a while. That's often the case. Someone wins one of these competitions and then they just kind of dip. So come back. I want to see what you have come up with next. This was a kind of a little prototype idea that someone had. I think it was going to be kind of like a Digimon Digideck. Something along those lines. I like the look of it though. Has that industrial, looks like something you could drop from really high up and not worry about it. A render for one. I don't remember if this one actually ever got made or not, but that's a piece of it. From
everybody's 3D printing everything. I'm not.
Yeah, well, it makes it so you can just do anything. This one was going to be
Yeah,
like
but at the same time, there's so many off-the-shelf parts you could use. No, but
Like
that's true. Like
coin
getting hard
foam.
cases, like Surpac. You can go to Surpac and they have, pre-made project boxes of every shape and size, and probably a higher temp plastic that can withstand being in cars and in the sun. And 3D printing definitely has its limits in what it's good for. I thought this one was pretty cool from Captain Numbnuts. It was going to be sort of a walkie-talkie, portable. I really like the form factor of it, just being a tube. Like, why not? It's not the typical size and shape. Built-in stand for it. I wish that one had been finished. Would like to see it working.
It's a Raspberry Pi in an Nalgene bottle.
In a hair shampoo bottle.
No, that's basically what I did, right? I cut the bottom of a Nalgene bottle. That's a regular Nalgene bottle. And then there's 3D printed base that it will slide in.
Hold on. We're in full screen layout, so no one can see it.
Sorry. So basically the idea that I was having an issue with carrying a Raspberry Pi on my long walks. And I looked at my backpack, I had a water bottle holder. So I basically grabbed this Nalgene bottle, cut the bottom off of it, and then 3D printed this base.
Nice.
This thing slides into it. And then the bottom is open so that the airflow goes that way. It worked fine for a while. It just wasn't up to what I needed it for its performance. But that's what I'm trying to say, right? I mean, yes, I could have printed this whole thing, but at the same time, the material, and it wouldn't be as sturdy as an Nalgene bottle. And the Nalgene bottle itself is just, I bought like a stack of these used off some eBay or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Site.
Everybody has them.
People throw them away or give them away anyway. So,
yeah, I think that's the biggest problem we all run into with 3D printing is the sturdiness. If you need a case that's really going to survive some like wear and tear, and you're not getting some expensive and hard to print carbon fiber nonsense, PLA or even ABS to an extent, which has all those fumes and stuff that nobody wants to deal with, is just not going to cut it.
I mean, there's some stronger ones. Like I use Polymax a lot because it's much sturdier. But at the same time, I've gotten to the point where there's so many options out there that I think 3D printing works great for some of the smaller stuff. But once you start going a certain size, then it just you might as well grab a pre-made case off of Amazon or anything, and then just customize that. It's much lighter, much more durable.
We were talking about the clear acrylic.
That is pretty.
Yeah, this one was from Back 7.
Of course, it's from Back 7.
Yeah. Really a cool piece. This was, I remember the backing on it was the thing that he was most interested in.
Yeah.
I believe he just used the infill, without top
and
bottom, so that it auto generates your pattern here. And that is just looks cool. You could laser cut that, but that's a lot to laser cut.
I did that once with a Pi case.
Like
traded in for a heatsink
for that
for my Pi. So I gave the printed case to a friend, which had the gyroid infill on the top and the bottom, so you have more air coming in the case. And
this was one of mine that I never finished. Just kind of one of those projects that fizzled out. I shorted out a few things while I was building it, and
I have a stack of those projects in the back.
Yeah, a couple things broke, a couple things burned. Lipo might have caught fire. It was just one of those, but the idea was there. I liked the form factor. I still have the display and the keyboard, so maybe it'll come back to life someday.
Yeah. I do like the way the screen's mounted on there with that hinge. It's pretty slick.
Yeah, I was trying to make it look like an old Toshiba laptop that has the side hinge.
Mm-hmm.
And it also makes room for what would have been a couple switches here, so that it clears them when it opens and closes. But yeah, it's just a prototype. 3D print a case, you can just see it. I kind of liked it, but I also kind of didn't. And then stuff started burning, and that one did not happen. but that's part of it. We have a whole section of failed projects. I actually have not looked through this one in a while, but it's generally the the half unfinished sort of works. This one doesn't look too bad. It's just why not tied it together with a belt and but as far as using what you have and not just 3D printing everything, this looks like just a random chunk of plastic and they threw it together, and if it works, it works.
Yep.
I remember this one. Cool form factor, side display. There was what was it, an Asus computer they sold for a while that was a layout similar to this. It was a whole computer and a keyboard with this little screen on the side of it. It's great to see random weird, different designs instead of the normal. This one, I mean,
Ooh, I like
if this was a full-size keyboard, like a split ortho with a display in the middle, I could see actually using that.
I like the Nokia phone on the top. This is just me.
Right?
The first thing that grabbed my
there.
head is like, okay, the computer's cool, but wait, hold on, there's a Nokia phone on top of that. I remember that one.
I think they actually use that thing too.
Yeah.
That's their inspiration.
I wish I could still use some of these old phones. Like a lot of flip phones are just like 3G without 4G support.
Wait, I think you should go back. Is that a deck and a guitar?
Yes. And this is not what I would call a failed project. You put it in here because you never got the batteries working right. But this was one of Raunerie's entries for one of the contests. I believe this one, Virtcon 2021, I want to say it was. This is like a whole cyber deck in a guitar. The two halves fold up on top of each other.
The aluminum railing for the neck is awesome.
Yeah,
cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it reconfigures the latch. The thing hinges and latches together. This was one of those folding keyboards in the middle, so that can fold close. Yeah. It really was a cool design. Like never seen one like it. Other than he also has the Pitar, which is a keytar that is a like Raspberry Pi computer cyber deck.
The book design is really cool.
Oh yeah,
I've been toying, and I made it once, but I've been toying with the idea of like a Ouija board design cyber deck. I don't know if it's a cyber deck. I guess it's a haunted deck, but it's basically a Ouija board, but like cyber.
I mean, imagine a Ouija board as a keyboard input.
Yeah, I mean, something like that.
It's a cool idea. You could go for a whole like Ghost in the Machine motif.
But now I want like a classic Ouija board but it's like all electronic underneath. It'd be kind of cool.
That's a very nice idea. Maybe with a big PCB, just as big as the boombox.
Yeah, the only problem with that is then Joe Grant is going to give me shit about you copying my idea.
No, just the size of the PCB.
This was one of my failed projects that I wish I had actually finished. I don't know if anyone remembers, but for a while there was like an Amiga portable render going around the internet. Like every month someone would repost the thing. So I just took that picture and drew up my own 3D model for it, and made this little Bluetooth keyboard touchscreen as a Hyperpixel 4 touchscreen display.
Yeah, those screens are nice, but they're fragile as fuck.
Yeah, I've been very careful with mine. It has not broken yet. It has a couple chips on the edge of the glass, though. But this was kind of a fun one, just because like everyone kept reposting that same render, and it's like, fuck, no one's gonna make it. I'll just make it. I got kind of hung up here with the buttons and the D-pad. The rest of it fit, and mostly worked. I had it at a point where I could turn it on, but lost interest too because I was just kind of doing it for the meme.
I made that fuck you keyboard that went around as a meme.
Oh yeah, the 2-key fuck you keyboard.
No, the one that only has FUCK.
Oh, that one. Because I recently saw one that's just 2 buttons with one keycap saying fuck and the other one saying you.
Put me
So
back
it's
on.
essentially just a 2-button keyboard. Oh damn, that's awesome.
You know the hardest part of this build was finding the right color keytops. Because I was like, I wanted to replicate the meme, so I went to look for like the right color keyboard,
The retro
keycap.
right.
And then people are like, well, and it actually works too. I mean, the inside is I don't know if you can it's a Tinsy 4, I think, with a Adafruit keyboard. I could pop it open probably.
Like a hide emulator.
Yeah, so basically it's fine. It's done its use. So anyway, that's the keypad that I soldered together. That's a Tinsy 4. One of my favorite microcontrollers.
I love those Teensies. They are solid.
Yeah.
Did you just rip the case in half?
No, it was broken anyway, so it's fine. I'll print it again. But yeah, basically that's the inside guts of it. And then people are like, oh, well, you can't tweet with that. I'm like, that's not the whole point. This is a fucking meme that I made.
It's fucking Twitter. Of course I can tweet with it.
And people are like, that's the most useless thing you built. I'm like, oh, you should see the other shit I built.
Anyone saying anything to you about it, you should just say back, fuck you.
Yeah, I know.
You
Right?
just,
like,
you should just use
here,
the keyboard.
look at the meme.
Just wear it as a necklace.
But no, I mean, I mean, going back, I mean, that's the problem with a lot of people is that I hate people who criticize other people's projects because you have no idea what went into that project, right?
Yeah.
Often these people who criticize, they don't even do projects.
No, okay, so I was asked to judge a hardware making contest, and I judged, and some people were offended by it, but that's a different situation, right? I was asked to judge, so I gave my judgment, right? And I think there's 4 different phases when you start building. One is the prototyping. Second one is the first build that you do for yourself. The second one is more popular, or that you can release to the public and people can have fun with it. But the third one is production, right? And I never go to full production because once you go from 2 to 1,000, there's a whole nother scheme there, right? And a lot of people are like, well, when they look at the 1,000 released product, they go like, well, you should have done this, should have done that. It's like, yeah, you come back to me and make that thing for the price that they released it at $2,000 unit or 2,000 units, manufacturing.
Under a time.
Yeah, a good example of that. There's this one project called the Ready 100, and it is a pretty cool cyber deck, and they decided to go full production with it. And I don't envy that headache. No. That is just like a massive undertaking, and a little delayed, little problem here and there with the part shortages, but it does look like it's actually starting to ship out. I think they've got like 50 of them.
Yeah, but at the same time, when you build something for yourself, its limitations. You can adjust yourself to it. Once you release it to public, then you have to be careful to let people know where the limitations are, right? And then that's where everybody just like, well, I would have done this, I would have done this. Like, look, you go out and build your own thing, post it online, and I'll if you want me to give you an opinion about it, I'll give you. But if not, then good for you. Have fun.
I gotta say the Flipper Zero was a good project that was just a production model that went pretty wildly. Like they just wanted
they probably didn't expect
60 grand on the they just wanted 60 grand on the Kickstarter.
What'd they get? 2 mil?
4 million. 4.5 or something.
But the Flipper Zero production quality is way better than I expected it to be. I have one.
Yeah,
a friend of mine gave me
impressive.
one, and
I also.
And I'm like, damn! I mean, this is actually really well built. Which
it's really sturdy, and I even put the rubber case around it, even though that's not necessary. I think
no, it doesn't require any. But the thing
I
is,
agree though. Building a project for yourself really is that's where it's fun. You give it the features you want, the functionality you want. It's got the quirks you know about, and you can work with it. You try and it's like you try and sell it to someone. It's like, here's this thing. Oh wait, once in a while the screen will start flickering. You gotta just tap it over here, or you gotta press this button 3 times, and
right.
It's a personal project.
And in the production, if
it's
the screen starts flickering, you get shit for it.
Exactly.
Because customer support is the most enjoyable aspect of production.
Yeah, it sure
is. This was another one of mine from a few years back, and it also caught fire.
I want to start using a little bit more flame-resistant material.
No, I had to start using higher amperage output power supplies. So this thing was running what's it called? The lithium ferrous oxide, not the LiPo, but the Li-Fi batteries.
Yeah.
But yeah, there wasn't good enough ventilation for the power supply, so it caught fire inside of there. Just a small fire, just a couple components, But this one was fun. Like, this thing I actually really enjoyed building and using until it went up. Vertical display, because why not? It emulated games looked way cooler on there.
That's if I can give any warning to any future builder or whatnot, if you use batteries, fucking protect that battery. Like, I hate PCBs with raw batteries on top of them, because literally, I mean,
see, now the batteries were contained at the end here in this circular part. It was the power supply itself that went up in smoke. But yeah, it's just fun. Like, it's a wacky build. This scene was one of those here's a pile of parts. How do I make them fit in the smallest space possible? There's an SDR inside of here, which is what this antenna is attached to, and it can be adapted to other antennas for other frequencies. Honestly, the telescoping antenna is more of a joke than anything. It's not very good for what you pick up on your typical SDR.
It's like extending antennas on cars.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi antenna is real,
with antennas.
But really, besides the thing smoking, this is the best working cyberdeck I ever built. This thing worked for months and months, and you could just press a button, turn it on, and it would go. It was after I modified it that I swapped out the Pi 2 or 3 I had in there for a Pi 4, and that overamped it, which killed it. But that's how it goes. Failure is part of these projects.
It's how we learn.
It's how you have an excuse to buy new stuff and do it again. Rocco, since Alcantara wasn't here last night, do you have your robot arm you could show him?
I do. I can reconnect it here. I was actually working on some of that today to try to get the next component set up by hooking it up to a viewfind to see if we can get it to go off of eyesight. But I got part of it here. I just need to get some wires.
So he was showing us this yesterday on the stream, and he's got himself a BCI brain interface hooked to a robotic arm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and really, that is pretty damn cool. That is just some future shit right there. And the fact that you can get a
all right, how long till I'm going to read it on the news?
You got to do something crazy with it first.
Dr. Octavius kind of thing.
Pretty much, just start building Skynet out of the garage. It'll be fine.
Who knew Skynet was built in the garage, right? Like while we were waiting, somebody found me at some con. It's like, I love the thing that you made that looks like a bomb, and I'm like, which one?
I saw something funny yesterday where someone built a full Marauder with display and some other stuff and a full antenna and everything on top of the flipper. Like the flipper has this head thing going on, and
the GPIO pin output. Yeah,
put just things on the GPIO, and some like I think Coco, or I don't know what's the full name, but I think the guy who made the Marauder, he made some things that are like low profile on top of the flipper, like Wi-Fi antennas or just the Wi-Fi ESP extension board. But then there are these people that just built this whole thing that's like also like a bomb looking.
I think we're going to see a trend of flipper-based cyberdecks coming in the near future.
Yeah, I hope so.
Is there enough processing power in that thing?
No. I mean, the microcontrollers in general are catching up. I mean, and the single board. There's so many single boards out there that
it can communicate with. You could probably just get a more powerful microcontroller that communicates with the flipper, maybe.
Yeah,
because
the ESP32X one will do dual band Wi-Fi 2 and Bluetooth. So we're looking forward. I mean, some of us are looking forward to coming out. And now you have microcontroller based FPGA. So the processing power is there. It's just, I think, the form factor. Yeah. Or somebody. What I haven't seen yet is somebody like. Oh shit! Let me just give him 1 second.
One thing that's nice is that there's a low budget or just simple version of the ESP development board for the flipper. That's basically just a rewired or specific wired ESP32 that just has some pins going to the flipper, and then you just flash the ESP and get the right application on the flipper running, and then basically you just have your Wi-Fi dev board that costs like $30 when you buy it from Flipper themselves.
You remember the pine sill soldering iron?
Yeah.
It is also a dev board. I unfortunately burnt out the USB interface on it, but I bought the GPIO expander that comes with the thing, or that you can buy with it.
With the pin
so the idea was that the pine sill could be a single board development kit. The little board that plugged in the back gave you access to like 40 GPIO, and you could do all kinds of stuff with it. I ruined mine by plugging in a 6S battery and killed the USB chip on it, which has like.
Oh, did you kill it on my desk?
No, it was every single time I've ever plugged it in. I always run it on 6S, and you go over like 22 volts and it kills the USB chip. But that was funny. I was at Player 2's apartment, and the power cable shorted, put 6S current direct short, 6S voltage at high current straight through, and it just flashed.
The whole cable
orange.
Just melted.
Just bright orange in a beautiful flash.
So,
what do you got there?
Cold Brew on Twitter. He made an ESP8266 big version. Right? So basically what he did, that's an ESP8266 microprocessor. It's all blown up to the scale. All the GPIO pins.
You could use alligator clips to connect to that.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That's fun.
Right. So basically what he did is he took the ESP8266 and made it bigger with the ESP.
Even with the LED. even with
Yeah,
the status
there's
LED.
an LED, right? So
Yeah, it's a full-size LED.
it's a full size. No, what I was gonna say is that I haven't seen, and it just could be me, but somebody building a flipper zero out of an RPi, just bigger, like like a like mega flipper, like how you have like the Mega Shark movies, Megalodon, Shark Attack, where the shark is just bigger. It's just like a
Well, how
flipper
about
zero. But
the Ponmagachi?
Oh yeah,
The
Yeah,
Pi
the
Zero
Polygon.
project.
yeah.
Yeah, take one of those with a with
Yeah.
a full size Raspberry Pi and a big ass
Yeah.
display, and just
Exactly the same form factor, right?
Mhm.
I mean,
This
but the
this
Flipper Zero
Wi-Fi
form factor is so known that if somebody came up with like just
this Wi-Fi dev board or the Wi-Fi ESP chip just reminds me of a Bakugan that I got, which is like usually Bakugan. I don't know if
oh
you
shit,
remember
the
these.
robot is alive.
Yep, hands
Damn.
free.
All right, there's somebody under the desk controlling that thing, right?
I wish. I mean, I just wish I could get someone under the desk in the first place. It's hooked up to an Arduino, which is connecting to my laptop to a Unity application, which is running the NextMind software. So all it has to do is detect which of these boxes I'm looking at, and I have like a left, a center, and a right box. So I focus on, let's say, the left-hand box for a second. Then we'll go left, go back to center.
That is
Come
really
on,
cool.
Center. Back up the center, and it just kind of reads what you're thinking. It's optically based, so there's like flashing. I can share the thing that might make it a little more clear. So it's kind of reading your. It's not quite like a optic reader, but it's that essentially, but in 3D from what I've been reading.
I commend you for having a wide angle on your workbench. I have not the courage to do that. There's so much shit right here. I'm just like, no.
That's why it's zoomed in on only the neck up.
But yeah, on the screen, it's like the left, and you can. For this, I made a real simple example of just moving it in 3 preset directions. But you could put these boxes up, or make those boxes anything. They can be circles, squares. They could be a lamp, or whatever thing you create them to be in Unity. And as long as they are able to have that like flashing texture, then you can program them to do literally anything.
A question
so
from Nikki.
Sensor, yeah.
Yeah, so it's really reading your brain. It's not just pulling muscle impulses.
Yep. Yeah, it's just on the back. I think it's pulling up whatever brainwave activity is happening from that optical pattern that you're looking at. So when you're seeing that like flashing thing, whatever that's doing in the back of your mind, it's pulling up that.
Now, if you start
signal.
thinking "hit me in the face," is it going to smack you, or is it
No.
not that intuitive?
So I've only programmed it to do 3 things in these front directions, so it's staying away from back here.
Gotcha.
That's
Made
gonna
that
be the
mistake
next
earlier.
step.
Can it pinch?
Well, I haven't programmed it to pinch. I've just programmed it to point because again,
All right, I'm gonna
eventually-
address the elephant in the room. People are gonna ask you how long till that thing will help you watch porn.
Is yesterday an answer? No.
I mean, the whole thing is like hit you in the face, pinch. I mean, we all know where this was going, right? It's just like.
I mean, I thought it was going to be a cool way to like play D&D with my friends out of state, throw some dice, and a little like picture of me up there. But yeah, porn too, I guess.
There really is a cool robotics project, and like, just goes to show
it's super cool.
You can basically do anything now. Like at home, you can have an entire machine shop. I mean, I moved countries and I still managed to bring a laser cutter and a 3D printer with me, and I'll probably have a CNC mill here in a couple months. I might have brought most of the stuff for it.
Are you going to be able to machine aluminum with it?
Yeah, carbon is the main, the main thing I want to do, but yes, aluminum and carbon and wood would be available
That's dope. Because I recently made myself. I don't have it on my desk right now, I think. But I essentially just took a bionicle head, got myself a 3D model, and kind of cut off a piece that would be an annoying place. And now I have this plastic thing that I have on my necklace, but it's just plastic.
Well, that's easy. The plastic that Lego's made out of melts at a very low temperature and it burns out pretty nicely too. You can plaster cast that, burn it out in an oven, and then pour pewter in it. You can get pewter anywhere, and you can melt that on your stove. So you could turn that into a metal casting in like 2 hours.
I 3D printed that part with some silver shiny PLA.
Oh, okay. You printed the Lego model.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, in that case, then PLA burns out even easier than ABS. And they even make a specific filament for burnout for doing the lost cast like that. So, yeah. Control FPV asks, are we going to get an OP1 jam tonight? I'm going to say probably not because it's very late.
It's a PO 33 live set, 133 set. That would be a bit shorter. Also, it's like 2:15 in the morning. So,
and it's Monday.
I'd be down. Right? I'd be down to make a short set. I could also show off the PCB of the PO 133. Coming back to the arcade theme we had earlier going on. Because
since we are showing off, our projects and stuff. What about the Pocket calculator? Could you give us a 60-second set off the Pocket? Whatever the hell that thing's called.
Yeah, sure thing.
What is it called again? The
Pocket operator.
Pocket operator, yeah.
Yeah. There you go. This is the thing. It's very small.
Now, this really is something that we should be replicating because it's a very simple piece of tech. This is the kind of thing that a Raspberry Pi Zero or even an ESP32 would be great to use with.
Yeah, this thing has some type of interfacing, which some people made arcade buttons for. So instead of these tiny buttons,
there's a whole bunch of different variants of that, right?
Yeah, a lot of them. Even this one,
you can chain them together too, right?
Yeah, you can also do that. And you can also back up the data digitally, which kind of sounds weird, of course, because it's digital audio. And yeah, it backs up all your samples, all your patterns, everything. And I think the funniest part about this thing is the batteries, because basically the batteries are just these. They both go in one direction, so you have plus on this side and minus on this side.
So just paralleled.
Yeah.
To keep it thin, but give you a little more juice. Yeah. So it doesn't take much power to run this thing then, just 1.5 volt.
Nope. And you have the time here. It's just like the Game & Watch, but instead of playing games, you play music with it. And also has an onboard microphone on top. Not all of them have this. I actually have 3 different ones of these.
And of course.
Yeah, the first one was the PO20 arcade, which has this chiptune noise to it. But yeah, this one is basically a sampler, so I sample a lot of funny sounds, which is I don't know if you can hear it, right?
Yep, that is coming through.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, this one is funny because you have all these patterns down here. 9, they are numbered, so 1 to 8 are singular sounds, and then you just down pitch them or up pitch them. down here you have like beat patterns. And you can sample these yourself. You can.
Are the Street Fighter guys moving too while you're doing this?
They sometimes do. I think it's kind of random. That's the whole purpose, I think. But yeah, this is the PO133, and there's also the PO33. The 133 is the Street Fighter edition, but they have the same layout and functions. And with the BPM,
it really is a cool little thing.
Yeah,
now, you could probably do this with the flipper too, right? Like
maybe, I don't know.
I mean, it's got interface for external buttons. Does it have any audio capabilities?
Yeah, it has some type of buzzer, but the speaker of this thing is pretty impressive, I gotta say, because it's below the batteries. So underneath the batteries you have the speaker, which for a built-in speaker, it's pretty good. And you gotta keep in mind all of the electronics that are not buttons or knobs or batteries are all underneath the LCD.
Yeah, it came through loud and clear.
Yeah, impressive.
You know what microchip it's got? Like, is it a ESP32 in there?
No, that would be awesome though. Then you would have Wi-Fi and shit.
Bluetooth.
Well, I guess then the battery wouldn't last either.
Then you could pull all the data over Wi-Fi. That would be pretty insane, but that's not possible. But yeah, if you want to, I can play a short set and then go to bed.
Yeah, if you're up for it, go for it, man.
Absolutely.
That was fun last night. I was like, I should cut him off. It's running kind of long. And it's like, damn, this is good. Let's just let it roll.
Yeah, I have. So you have 16 patterns. There's the sound button where you can select your sounds, and then you have pattern, which you can pattern chain, which is nice. So I have this pattern, which is more funky.
That is cool. You know,
Oh,
if you
yeah.
got 3 of them, you know, one of these days when you come out to do a little set for us, you're gonna have to line up all 3 plus the other one that was it, the OP8.
Oh yeah, the OP1.
The OP1, yeah.
Yeah, you can also hook up this one to the OP1 because it's Teenage Engineering making these.
Right. Does it like? Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna ask. Can you hook up a Dance Dance Revolution controller to
it? So in theory, that should be possible because you got these pads on the backside, these pogo pads, and there are
Control asks,
making...
can they share sync info?
Yes, they can. They have several sync modes. They have a few sync modes, so you can sync with different types of devices or different MIDI signals. And yeah, there are some people making arcade buttons work with these pogo pins instead of these tiny, not flimsy, but hard to press buttons. I also 3D printed some cases, but for this one I like the just bare bone look, and maybe someday I'll get a case for it or make myself one.
It's pretty.
But yeah,
talking about that clear acrylic, that would look nice. Keep the vibe of it going.
Oh yeah, that's true. Also, what my kind of bothering myself is the official case, because you gotta break this tab off to use the official case.
Yeah, it's amazing. Good sound. Comes out fine.
Yeah, I mean, even considering the speakers in the back that's like facing away from us, that's amazing.
No, I got it hooked up via aux, so.
Okay.
But I can surely demonstrate the sound without that.
Even with that, I mean. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, we're running up about an hour and a half here, and I think it's about time we wrap it for the night.
Yes, sir.
Had fun chatting with all of you guys again. And, you know, this will conclude the second day for Virtcon 2023. This was a good one. This was a success. We have only had like 5 technical difficulties throughout the streams. You know, better than most. I started out here, like, I get home, I go to connect, I'm like, no internet. All right, other device, no internet. It says it has it, nothing. Get on the Wi-Fi, start connecting. Audio is just crushed, you know, bit rate like horrible, and then all of a sudden, you know, pops back 2 minutes later, and it's just like, oh, so close. Almost didn't make my own show. Yeah. That's how it goes, though.
It wouldn't be the same for not coming in by the skin of your teeth, right?
Yeah, you know, like we always say, fuck it, we'll do it live. It's literally how it happens every time. Although we had a spreadsheet this time.
Whoa, so high tech.
I know. Well, it was a Google Doc, but you know.
That's
yeah,
cloud, right?
right, exactly. You can just share it with the group. It was great. So organized this time around. Yeah, you know, we had fun doing it, and as always, you know, it's all just for the group anyway. You know, Keep making those projects. The Cyberdeck Cafe website, it needs your projects. That is what goes there. All of those finished or half finished ideas of yours. It's not just like random stuff scoured off the internet. It is just users' projects that go there. And, it's so that you guys have somewhere to post your projects. You want to get featured on the front page of a tech blog? Well, we have one. And it's a good, quick way to get yourself picked up by Tom's Hardware or Hackaday or, Hackster.io. All of those pretty much instantly snag up everything that we post. So you might as well stick it on there first.
Yeah, who cares about those guys?
Yeah. They're just, yeah, they're all fun. It's like they're all great groups too that I hang out in as well. Yeah, well, it was another good year, and thank you, Helix. I believe he's currently resting right now after the massive amount of time he put into yesterday's Virtcon. So thanks for the help with that, and Player 2 as well. This was fun. We will be back every year, always, but we also will be back in 6 months because we actually do this twice a year. So there's that. El Quintero, thank you for coming on here again. Anytime you want to be back,
Anytime you guys want me back, just remind me.
Always.
Well, then I'm going to be bugging you more often.
Anytime. Come check out the wireless shit show that me and Dark Matter do. It's all wireless stuff, but
it is. It's fun. Actually, do you have a link for that? We'll go ahead and drop that in the chat.
If I have everything set up correct. It's we have a Twitter. It's wireless shit. Yeah, hold on.
I have watched it a few times myself.
Twitter handle is wireless shit. It's the best time to because we're on and off based on our schedule, so
slightly inconsistent, right?
Wireless shit is the Twitter handle.
Here's a YouTube link for it.
Awesome.
Yeah, the YouTube has not been updated in a while, but
okay. Is that so? You're streaming it on
Twitch for now?
That makes sense. That's why I haven't seen this in a while.
Yeah,
I never used Twitch.
Yeah, we're in the process of moving across to a different platform, but it started out with me and Dark Matter just hanging out, and that's why we didn't think it through, and we just called it the Wireless Shit Show. And like, we can't even type our own show name in Twitch because it's like one of the banned words and whatnot. Didn't think it through.
Wireless poop. Name it wireless poop.
But it's it's me and Mark hanging out, doing some wireless stuff. If we're not on, then this year I'm streaming over at Twitch too once in a while, so come check it out. I'm off Twitter, so don't find me or follow me on Twitter because my account is still there, but
whatever.
I don't use it.
I fully support that. It's really just a time suck, and there's so many angry people shouting at the wall.
No, I was gonna close it this year anyway. So I mean, it was long before Elon got involved in the whole thing. I had
it's gotten better since then.
Because everybody else is off of it, I guess. But find me on Instagram if you want to see pictures of what I do. You can find me on Instagram. But
nice. Well, hopefully we'll get you back on the show soon too.
Anytime.
All right, guys. Well, thank you all for joining, and peace.
Thank you all.
See ya. Stay safe.